you must be skipping happy a little bit with how divided the Tories are looking right now.
I'm disappointed for the country. I take no joy whatsoever in the country being lumbered with a Prime Minister that so many people have said that they're dissatisfied with because he didn't tell the truth about the parties in Downing Street. And Parliament can't trust him, the country can't trust him. I take no joy in the fact that he has managed to hold on by the skin of his teeth, which is why the Liberal Democrats are today tabling a motion of no confidence to give all of the MPs in Parliament, all of us who represent people up and down this country who want a Prime Minister in whom they can have faith, who they can trust, and who do not trust Boris Johnson anymore. All the people who've written to us expressing their anger at his disregard and disrespect for them. All of those MPs should have the opportunity to vote on whether we think he's a fitting Prime Minister.
Right, well, Christine, I'm sorry, there seems to be some sort of helicopter going above us right now in Downing Street, but I got the gist of exactly what you were saying. That confidence vote that your party is tabling today, it's unlikely to go to a full vote of the House of Commons, isn't it?
Well, I think that would be very sad if it was, because there is a great deal of anger in the House of Commons, and we've seen that there is also a great deal of anger in the Conservative Party, on the Conservative benches, about the way that Boris Johnson has behaved, because he is bringing the Conservative Party into disrepute with the way that he behaved and the lack of respect for the government. He's brought the government into disrepute, and he's affecting our standing on the international stage at a time when it is critical. And I think, the last straw for many people, I think, is trying to rejig the ministerial code, because he's broken it. And that, I think, when your own ethics czar steps down because he can't have any faith in you anymore, then you really are on a sugary wicket.
Is that a particularly fair point, Christine Jardine? After all, the changes to the ministerial code weren't proposed by the Prime Minister. They were proposed by an independent committee headed by the former head of MI5. This was a change that was proposed in a report that came out long before Partygate and is now being implemented. Terrible timing, absolutely. I'm with you on that point. But is the Prime Minister really to blame for that?
Surprised the Prime Minister didn't realise, when the rest of us all realise that it looks bad at the moment, the Prime Minister didn't think, this looks bad, perhaps I shouldn't do this. He is responsible for the ministerial code, and his own ethics czar, who was appointed by him and who, has responsibility, doesn't have faith in Boris Johnson to abide by, not just abide by the ministerial code. And we have seen so many incidents in this government over the past few years, particularly with the Prime Minister, which in any government with any moral compass at all would have been a resignation issue. And that's the problem that we now have. We have a government in whom the country just does not have faith, and a Prime Minister that people are dissatisfied with and feel they can't trust to tell them the truth.
Is this really all about Partygate, though? I mean, the Prime Minister received one fixed penalty notice for turning up to the Cabinet Room table, standing in his place and looking pretty miserable, holding what I believe is either a can of Coke or a can of Estrella. I mean, is that really what this Prime Minister should be brought down over? Doesn't that seem to be a little bit out of proportion when we look at all of the issues going on in the world, whether it's sky-high inflation or war on the continent of Europe, or indeed our NHS backlog off the back of the pandemic?
We need a Prime Minister that people can trust, that people can believe in, and that shows leadership. Now, the Sugray report was clear that what was going on in Downing Street was unacceptable, that there was a failure of leadership. Now, Boris Johnson sets the tone in Downing Street, in the government, and by extension in the country with what he does. And we need a Prime Minister that we can have faith will tell us the truth about these things, who will not come to the dispatch box and says he knew nothing about something that it later turns out that he was at. Now, it's like anything in life. Once you are discovered to have told a lie, how can anyone have any faith in anything that you say after that? How can they trust you? How can they believe that you're telling them the truth this time? Boris Johnson has no credibility. And what we saw last night was that quite a large percentage, a worrying percentage of him, 40% of his own MPs don't have faith in him. They don't have confidence in him to be the leader of the country. If they don't have confidence in them, why should anybody else?
Christine Jardine, is that not prejudicing the result of the inquiry that is taking place within Parliament right now? The Privileges Committee, of course, looking into whether the Prime Minister did mislead Parliament or not, whether or not he did mislead, he did break the ministerial code. It's not a done deal that he did. This is a contentious area. It depends what he knew and when, and what he thought of as something legitimate for work and something that wasn't. It seems like there's a large grey area here that the Metropolitan Police themselves spent 4 months investigating, trying to decide whether or not these individuals had broken the rules. Is there not a grey area there and a possibility that the Prime Minister believed he was acting within the rules?
You can look at things technically and you can say, well, technically this might have happened or that might have happened. And yes, the Privileged Committee will rule and we will hear what they have to say in time when they've been through things. But the problem that the Prime Minister has is a problem of credibility and of a lack of confidence in him now. As I said, if 40% of his own MPs don't have confidence in him, how can the rest of the country, how can the constituents in those seats whose MPs have said that they have no confidence in this Prime Minister? If there's a general election and he's still the leader of the Conservative Party, how do they vote for an MP who doesn't have any confidence in the person that is going to be Prime Minister? And we've got by-elections coming up this month. The voters there will make it clear what they think about Boris Johnson. And what we have seen throughout this scandal, because it is a scandal what is going on in the British government, I mean, it's not acceptable. The behaviour was not acceptable. And what we have seen is people turning away from the Conservative Party. Lifelong Conservative voters saying, we're not going to vote for them anymore. We're not going to vote for them because we can't trust Boris Johnson. And coming to vote for us. We saw it in Cheshire and Amersham, we saw it in North Shropshire, and I think we'll see it with the Labour Party in Wakefield, and I think we'll see it in Tiverton and Honington as well. People are fed up with a government that has no respect for them and is completely out of touch with the challenges that they are facing every day, that ordinary families and pensioners up and down this country are facing every day with the cost of living crisis. We've had crisis after crisis in this country for more than 2 years now, and people need a Prime Minister that they can have confidence in.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.